Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. I am your host, Sam Randazzo, and I am joined by my two slightly damp co-hosts. To my right, it is the one, the only, Uncle Sam.
Hello.
And to my left, it is none other than Mr. Zolo, Mike Palazzolo.
God bless.
And behind the soundboard, the computer, on an island of his own,
Feeling the back of me hand.
it is none other than our resident chain choker, Emmerich O'Cream Pie, Bruce the Tugboat Venditti.
My last name's not Emmerich, but okay.
No, your first name is Emmerich now. Your last name is
Yeah, we changed your name.
Cream Pie. Cream
Okay.
Pie.
Is that because I came up with the title of this episode?
It's going to
That
be.
is.
It's going to
That
be
is.
that. That's
Okay.
what's going to be on your ID.
Emmerich O'Cream Pie.
That's it. That's it.
Well, I noticed something right when you sat down.
Good for a T-shirt.
Okay. That is good for a t-shirt. We need an Emmerich O'Cream Pie t-shirt.
That's it.
No, but you can have cream pie. I'll do that.
Well, just your face and
No,
cream
it's got to
pie.
have Emmerich on it.
No, it's got to be.
Emmerich, a couple of clovers, and some mugs of beer smashing together,
Yeah,
Emmerich O'Cream Pie.
and a bottle of Jameson.
absolutely.
You have a new hat.
No,
That's a new hat.
it's not new.
I have not
Sold.
seen this hat.
So I have never.
Now, if this wasn't ever, if we never had a bigger, how is Milwaukee not sponsoring us yet?
They should be.
You've got the Milwaukee bifocals.
I bought so much stuff from them,
You've got the Milwaukee cap.
and the Book of Souls.
Iron Maiden. Got a little Iron Maiden in the
Book of
house today.
Souls.
Was
The
that
Book of
tour-
Souls.
Was that tour everything you thought it was going to be?
That's the last Iron Maiden concert I went to, was with my friend Mike. Shout out to Botcher, you big oath.
You must be happy about this weather we're having because your head's probably not nearly burned.
No, it's not. In fact, this is perfect. I've been in the shade. I feel a lot better. I don't like being in the sun.
You got your spunk with you today?
My what?
You got your spunk with you today?
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
Ready?
I'm ready. Let's rock.
We got one debate
Let's
coming up
rock.
later on in the episode that I know you're just gonna have an absolute field day with. So
Okay.
Zolo, how was your weekend?
Quiet. I had to pick my mother up downtown Friday night to fight Taylor Swift traffic.
Oh jeez.
And then I had to pick my girlfriend up on Saturday night from the Taylor Swift concert. So I had to deal with that twice. in a row.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift
Is that
here
the
all
little
week.
girl who sings, the country girl?
Oh, you didn't see the picture of her with Dan Campbell, did you?
Excuse me?
She was hanging out with Dan Campbell.
Detroit's big for her. So in 2006, she sang the national
Dan
anthem.
Campbell married?
No. She in 2006 she sang the national anthem on Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And right before she takes the field, I'll show you the picture. She's about to take the field, and the player that's standing right behind her is Dan Campbell in his
Oh,
number
wow.
89 jersey.
Oh, I saw that picture.
It's
Actually,
good.
I did.
Okay.
I did. Yes, Taylor Swift was here this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah,
I know who
tickets.
she is.
Tickets were like
I know who-
$20,000, and it was insane.
$20,000?
Yeah, she demands higher ticket
The fuck?
prices
She
than
thinks she's
anybody.
Barbara
Cashed in.
Streisand?
No, it's not.
What the
It's
fuck?
not. It's not face value. That's what they were going for.
Oh,
afterwards.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it got crazy quick.
Interesting.
Crazy quick. Anyways, we got some football to talk about today. And we're going to start off with what I thought was the biggest news of. Oh, actually, before we talk about football, we're going to talk about a different sport because we're kind of batting 1,000 with talking about different sports every episode. Last week, what did we spend? 40 minutes on golf?
Yeah.
Goff.
I think it was over.
It's Goff.
Yeah, it might have been. It might have been an hour of golf.
Goff.
So we have a new NBA champion. And I know you really don't like the NBA, but
No, I'm ecstatic right now.
no, he's a bigger
Why?
fan than we are.
I am a big fan right now.
why?
Because anytime LeBron James gets bounced out of the
It's
fucking
nice.
playoffs,
It's really nice.
I'm a big fan.
It's really nice.
Yeah. You know what? It's nice. You want to know what's nice? The last 5 years, there's been a different team to win a championship every year for the last 5 years.
That's
Did
good.
you know that?
And the team
did
that
not.
won last
Yeah.
night,
Yeah.
is a new title
It was
winner.
their first ever, right?
And it's going to happen in hockey this year, too. There's going to be a new title winner in hockey.
I
this
hope
year as
so.
well.
I hope so.
This does have a little bit of a football connect.
Okay.
So the owner of the Denver Nuggets, who won the NBA championship last night, is none other than Rams owner
E. Stanley Kroenke.
Stan Kroenke. In the last year,
Cranky.
well, since 2022, so we'll just say the last year, my man has racked up a Super Bowl, the
NBA
National
title?
Lacrosse NLL Championship, with the Colorado Mammoth,
Okay.
a Stanley Cup last year with the Avalanche,
Oh,
and now an NBA
he owns all
championship
these.
trophy.
He
Yes.
owns all those.
That's not all he owns.
Holy
No,
shit!
he owns a soccer team too. I think, doesn't
He owns a couple. He owns the MLS soccer team, the Colorado MLS soccer team, and he owns Arsenal, which is one of the biggest teams in the Premier League, who almost won the Premier League this year. They choked, so he could have had the Premier League title on top of that. But I mean, NBA 2023, Stanley Cup 2022. And then the Rams, technically they won that Super Bowl in 2022, but it was for the 2021 season by the Detroit Tigers, Stan Kroenke. Buy the Tigers for next year, for 2024. Complete the cycle. Get the ownership quad next year, and good things will happen for this town. But good for him. I mean, that's impressive ownership. You know who he's married to, by the way? Do you guys know who he's married to?
Walton.
He's married to a Walton. He's married to Alice Walton, who is an heir, not a direct heir, but an heir to the Walmart fortune. Her uncle was Sam Walton, her father's brother.
Yeah.
And then Sam Walton's son is Bud Walton, who is the recent owner of the Denver Broncos, who just bought the Denver Broncos.
So, congratulations. I mean, you want to talk about a lineup? That's kind of the lineup to have right there. 4 rings in a year.
Do you think he even knows he won that lacrosse title?
Probably not. He probably didn't even know he owned the fucking team.
Yeah, that's what I was
The
thinking.
National Lacrosse League.
He probably read a tweet and found out last night, oh, I won that one too.
Oh, fuck. I forgot about that one.
Mm-hmm. No, you said it.
Moving on to actual football now. We need to talk about the Buffalo Bills. I know I'm sick of talking about Buffalo too, but all-world wide receiver Stephon Diggs did not show up to Buffalo's mandatory minicamp today. Obviously,
that
that's
means
not,
nothing.
Well, there's no
Fucking minicamp.
contract dispute. There's nothing about
He got his
this.
contract last year, so
Right.
it's not a contract issue.
Nothing about this leads anybody to believe that he would hold out or not be there, other than the fact that he just doesn't want to be there. That was the first thing that popped into my mind. I mean, obviously, we saw turmoil on the sideline between him and Josh Allen last year during the playoffs. I don't know. I don't know what this means, but Sean McDermott came out and told reporters today that he is very concerned, quote unquote, very concerned that Stephon Diggs was not at mandatory minicamp today.
Was Josh Allen there?
Yeah.
Josh Allen
That's
was
who
there.
needs to be there. That's who needs the fucking extra work.
So Stephon Diggs' agent, about an hour later, came out and said that Stephon is in Buffalo. He's been in Buffalo since yesterday. He was at the facility to take his physical, met with the coach and the GM over the past 48 hours, and he will be there for the entirety of
What the
minicamp.
fuck was this idiot talking about, McDermott?
It seems his
Something-
agent reacted pretty quickly. That they swept this. I feel like the dust is settled on this one.
You think
Okay.
so?
I think the dust is settled on this one. There's some discrepancy somewhere, and I think maybe he didn't show up today, and then realized it was a bad idea not showing up, and now certain people are involved to the point where I think this is going to blow over by the morning.
You do.
I do.
So you think Stephon Diggs will be there tomorrow?
Yeah, I don't know. Just from his perspective, how do you better your situation? There's 2 routes. You play for a better team, or you're looking for more money. He's got the money, and there aren't many predicted better teams. I know we're all pretty low on the Bills.
Correct.
So what are you doing, Stephon Diggs? What do you want? Tell us what you want.
The only thing I can think of is that he's not in a situation where he thinks he's going to win at this point. And he lost faith in either McDermott or Josh Allen, much like we have, in a way. So that's the only
I think he lost faith to Josh Allen last year in the playoffs.
That's the
Seen what
last time
happened.
we saw Stephon Diggs.
I mean,
he
everybody's
was
seen
screaming
it.
at Josh Allen. That's the
Yeah.
last thing we saw from him.
Correct.
Everybody's seen it. It's not like it was a fucking secret.
I mean, at $24 million a year, I don't think it's a financials thing.
No.
So that one's going to be interesting to watch. Hopefully, like Zolo said, it'll be over by morning. But moving on from there, we need to talk about Saquon Barkley a little bit, because we kind of have a situation with him that's starting to get, I would say, unpredictable. So supposedly he doesn't want to play on the franchise tag, which not a lot of star guys do, but he's saying he could drag this all the way into July.
The deadline is mid-July to make a decision on the franchise tag, or to come up with a contract extension before the season starts, or decide that you have to play on the franchise tag. There's a franchise tag deadline once they designate that they're tagging you.
Yeah. So he has told the team he will not report to mandatory minicamp. He was not there today. So that leaves a massive hole in that New York offense because, I mean, Saquon was huge for them last year. That was what kept them in the playoff hunt the entire time. I mean, it made Daniel Jones' job a million times easier.
That's the first good year he's had.
Yeah, I mean, since
His rookie year is pretty solid.
correct,
Yeah.
since his rookie year.
I mean, last year was his best year as a pro.
I think with Saquon, this is the gist. I think this is the consensus, and I've been seeing and reading it too. So I'm not the only one that's saying this, and I know you guys are going to agree. With Saquon, they're a playoff team, and
Correct.
they're a playoff team that can make noise. Without Saquon, they had a great offseason, in my opinion, but they're not a playoff team without Saquon.
Saquon came out and said this on Instagram. As I have previously stated, I'm not looking to set any contract records. I'm not demanding to be the highest paid player at my position. I understand the market. My goal is just to be compensated respectfully based on my contributions to the team on the field and in the locker room.
He's been so good.
Very, very
and
well
so
said.
open. Yeah, he's been really transparent throughout the entire process. And a statement like that, I mean, you could say the diva thing all you want, but that's a pretty good statement. I'm not trying to set the market. Cool.
Well, and I mean, here we go. Realistically, Saquon, he made $10 million last year. And you have McCaffrey at 16, Kamara at 15, Henry at 12.5.
McCaffrey gets paid to do different things
Correct.
than those guys. I think Saquon might be. I mean, you could easily make the case he's worth $14 or $15 million for the next.
Correct. Because, I mean, if you look at this, Kamara, Henry, Chubb, all of those guys signed within the last couple of years. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So Henry's contract's up next year, and he was getting paid $12.5 million. So you have, if you're Saquon, I would be shooting at least to be above Henry. That Henry deal was 3 years ago now. So, hopefully for Daniel Jones and the New York Giants, that one gets figured out because without him,
Yeah, they don't want to start the season without him there. I mean, that's not going to be good for anybody.
I mean, you're talking about a massive hole. And when
Right.
you look at some of the guys who are getting paid more than him, I mean, Josh Jacobs, he's a guy who's tagged. They make the exact same money. Tony Pollard.
I'm going to stop you right now. The only guy that should be getting paid more than Saquon Barkley
Is McCaffrey?
Is Christian McCaffrey, and it's because he does totally different things.
Correct.
He's a dynamic individual.
Aaron Jones gets paid more than Saquon Barkley. Yeah, so they need to figure this one out.
He's got a gripe. I think he's been good about how he's handled it, and he's even come out and said he's not going to set the market. And therefore, I think this gets done. I think this gets figured out.
I think so too.
The bad side of it, though, is if it doesn't get done, it sounds like he's just going to sit out the entire year.
And that would be absolutely
That's not good
awful.
for anybody.
No. Not good for the fans.
Not good for him,
Saquon,
not good
for the
for-
Giants.
I mean,
not good
we're
for-
talking
Giants.
worst case scenario possible.
Look at if he sits out this year, he's not going to be there next year, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Oh, no. 100%.
Agreed.
Guaranteed.
Agreed.
So he's kind of when guys do that. I remember Le'Veon Bell did that, and I remember that debacle, and then him going to the Jets.
It
That
didn't
was
work
even
out
a
for him
worse
too.
Debacle.
It didn't work out for Le'Veon Bell either.
No, it did
No, it
not.
did not. It did not. It backfired.
he
Le'Veon
forgot how to
Bell's
play
been playing
football
football
after
in
that.
Japan or whatever.
He sat that year out. It was like he forgot how to
Boxing.
play football.
Right. I mean, that was worst case scenario for him. We need to talk about another running back who is officially out of a job for today at least, and that is Dalvin Cook. He was cut by the Minnesota Vikings. They paid him.
You had said that he was going to get cut, and I didn't believe you.
He got cut later that day.
It was that day. Yeah,
It was, or they said they were going to cut him. Again, there's things they could do. They could have signed him, they could have traded him, or they could have cut him. And different moves had different cap implications.
this way they only paid him $2 million.
Yeah, they still owe him some money,
Right.
but he's looking for a big deal. The difference between DeAndre Hopkins and Dalvin Cook is Dalvin Cook has put his cards on the table and he said, "No, I'm still young and I want money. I want to get paid."
I mean, yeah, he's 27 years old. I mean, you're right. You're teeter-tottering right there.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you're on your last contract when you're 27.
you're on your last
As a
big
running
contract.
back,
Correct.
in my opinion, you're on your last contract at 27.
I mean,
So if he can get a 3-year contract, it'd be lucky for him.
here we go again. Average per year, he was at $12.5 million. So
Okay.
I think Do we see a situation where Dalvin Cook signs for more than Saquon Barkley?
I would say no, just because Barkley's younger.
Just given the time period for Dalvin Cook, I would say no, because I think Barkley's better and younger, and even though he hasn't been durable, they both torn ACLs. I think Saquon's going to be more durable and also means more to his situation than Dalvin Cook does. I think Dalvin Cook's going to end up with a contender. I think he's going to go somewhere to try and win. I think the money's going to be a factor.
Thing for him, I think.
Yeah, maybe north of 10 million, but south of the Saquon number,
AFC or
I think is
NFC?
14. I'm sticking to my guns with Miami still. I still think Miami's going to make it happen.
I think so too. I think Miami will figure out a way to get him paid, and it'll instantly it'll instantly take them up another notch.
Maybe Dallas, but Miami.
Well, this is interesting now because I'm looking at those running back contracts. Pollard's on the book for $11 million. So I mean, if they go out and sign, Dalvin Cook,
It's an
for
eighth
12
of
or
your
13.
cap tied up in running back.
right now you're right back where you were with Zeke, financials at least.
Yeah, I don't see them doing that.
There's another contract dispute that apparently we have to talk about in the last couple minutes. Chris Jones didn't report for the Chiefs today.
Oh, whoa.
Wow.
It sounds like the Chiefs are open to signing him.
I thought they just re-signed him.
Yeah, I thought they gave him money too. We talked about this and the Quinn and Williams talk. I think he's the best all-around D tackle in football, better than Aaron Donald at the moment. So he's worth the money. And again, that's another one. Those always get resolved more often than they don't. So I'd like to think that they're going to end up working something out with him. But damn, that would be fun if the best DT in football gets available.
Yeah, so he was on the books for $19.5 million last year. Or actually, that's this year. He's on the books for $19.5 million and didn't report. So that one will be interesting. That's going to be one to watch. We need to talk about DeAndre Hopkins because all of us pretty much thought the two teams that he visited with were pretty much outliers last week, right? We all kind of agreed that the Patriots didn't make a whole lot of sense, and I definitely don't think the Titans made a whole lot of sense. But now we have a situation where those are the two teams he visited. I have a couple of questions. Is this, when you see those two teams in there, now I'm starting to think, okay, maybe he doesn't care as much about winning, but two, could this be a situation of the market's not as hot for him as he thought?
Yeah, this is a little, we still don't know what he wants. I think this is a little bit of an indicator of where the league wants, though. Teams that can afford him, that need him. That's who's in play. So I think that money is a little bit of a factor. But also there's fits. I mean, he's got the Bill O'Brien connection that we talked about last week in New England. And the Titans do similar things to what the Patriots have done and what Bill O'Brien has done. That's where a lot of Vrabel's roots come from. And they sure as heck need a wide receiver. So it makes sense. That's a long play, though. I feel like the Titans, and I heard the visit went well, but left without a contract, and he's headed to Foxborough.
I would have to say that both of those teams don't fit the criteria that he said himself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, outside of Bill Belichick being in New England, they don't have a good quarterback. You know, the only stability is Belichick and Kraft.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's it. They don't fit any of the their offensive line is awful. They do have a very good running back. Their defense is a top 10 defense in the AFC.
We're unanimous against Mac Jones, right? We all think that's
absolutely.
Yeah. And for that reason that doesn't make sense.
I don't understand the Titans either.
Yeah.
It's Ryan Tannehill. What the fuck?
Well, might be Will Levis.
Oh, God, give me a break.
You know, you're sleeping on Will Levis right now.
Listen to me, dude. Put him and Malik Willis in the same fucking room and put a garbage can in the middle of the room, and neither one of them will be able to hit that garbage can.
At the pace this is going, and this is probably true for Dalvin Cook as well. I know it's only been a couple days on Dalvin Cook, but at the pace that Hopkins is moving at right now, I think this drags out to July. And it turns into a right before training camp signing.
Yeah, I think the Dalvin Cook thing, I think the Hopkins thing, those are post 4th of July situations.
Oh, at a minimum.
Yeah.
I think they're like leading up to training camp.
Yeah.
Like even later than that.
The Hopkins thing, I got a feeling he keep everybody stretching just like Beckham Jr. did before he signed. They wanted to stay in the limelight for the rest of this offseason before camp starts.
We need to talk about a couple of edge rushers. So the first of which is Yannick Ngakoue, former Colt, former Jaguar. He has decided that he is going to be represented by Drew Rosenhaus today. So, I mean, you want to talk about a guy who gets guys paid. He went to the right place. And can we expect him to get on a team before training camp?
Same drill. Teams are wrapping up their mini camps right now, might be evaluating what they liked and what they didn't like, and same drill. I think he's going to fall into that mid-June to mid-July window before he signs with the team.
It'll be interesting to see what he gets paid, because when now I feel like he's that one guy who is like going to teeter-totter in between these big money edge rushers and somebody who's a little bit undervalued. I think he's going to fall right smack dab in the middle of that. And I think he's always been a guy, in my opinion, who's undervalued. Like when we went through this a couple weeks ago, we put his numbers and Frank Clark's up right next to each other.
They were better than Frank Clark.
His numbers are better than Frank Clark's. So
yeah, but Frank Clark did it in bigger games. That's the difference.
Frank Clark has monster playoff numbers.
That's the difference.
Like
That's
one of the best
between these
pass rushers ever in the playoffs. That being said, Yannick Ngakoue has had the better.
Can't talk about Ngakoue because he's never been in the playoffs. So
Agreed.
He doesn't know.
Agreed. But in the regular season, his numbers are significantly better from all fronts: pass
Correct.
rushing, tackling, tackles for loss, the whole nine. Yannick Ngakoue was better recently and better over year over year than Frank Clark.
But Frank Clark in the playoffs in the last 4 or 5 years has been a monster.
Frank Clark's turning quickly into the new Von Miller in the playoffs.
I don't know about that.
He's getting there.
See, Frank Clark hasn't taken over a game like Von Miller did. Von Miller took over a complete Super
I don't know about that.
Oh, yeah.
That game against the Bengals this year, the AFC.
Come on,
Come
dude.
on.
That was nowhere near what he did to Cam Newton. Cam Newton's still trying to recover from that and hasn't.
Another edge rusher that we must discuss is Chase Young. So the situation with him and the Commanders seems to be quickly deteriorating, I would say.
Well, I mean, what do they have that's new? What do they have that's new from last year? The Commanders.
An owner.
A new owner. That's about it. So how is it that your coaching staff wants to move on from a guy that they so highly touted that took him with overall pick, first overall pick, and just bail on him in 4 years?
Well, I don't know if it's a money
I don't
thing.
understand.
I
personally don't understand that.
But the team has come out and said that they are listening to trade offers.
I don't think it's a he doesn't want to be there thing. I think it's a they don't feel they're at a good crossroads where they could afford to move on from him, and they don't feel that they want to pay him the money because they haven't seen it. When he has played,
they haven't seen the production out of him because of the injuries.
Because he's been injured. When he has played, he has been good. Sans the end of the year last year, coming off an ACL injury, he's been very good. And it's a similar situation, and it's funny because they were picked one pick apart, and they played on the same team in college. Similar to the Detroit Lions and Jeff Okudah. We're talking about pick 2 and pick 3 from the 2020 draft there. And pick 2, I was so devastated. The Lions won one game. I think they beat the Titans or someone that knocked them knocked them down one peg and brought them into the Okudah pick. And I was like, why are you winning this game? Because that's how you lost Chase Young. But now sounds like the Lions are going to be, well, that's a whole other story. But I don't know if it's for the Redskins, or excuse me, for the Commanders. I think it's more of a we just don't like your production, and maybe he's thinking, okay, well, let me go capitalize with another team right now and show you bet on myself and see what I'm worth.
Well, rumor has it that they're in talks with Detroit for possibly a 3rd round pick and Julian Okwara.
So right now
Young.
Right now the betting odds are. I'm sorry, I said a moment. The Steelers, the Lions, and the Patriots. Don't know why. The Patriots won again. Doesn't make any sense to me. I guess if anybody can untap.
Well, here's the thing with the Steelers. Didn't they just sign a pass rusher? Who did they sign to go opposite Watt? TJ Watt. They signed somebody to go opposite T.J. Watt.
Who did?
I thought the Steelers had signed a pass rusher here early on in free agency here. I thought they did. Maybe
Okay,
I'm wrong.
Maybe
I'm
wanted,
wrong.
Regardless, they already have T.J. Watt. So, I mean, do you really need to go out there and spend the money on Chase Young? Probably not.
Is it Ogunjobi? Larry Ogunjobi? Him? Or
He's
did they
a
draft
tackle,
him?
though.
They got him listed as
He's a tackle.
Hayward? Cam Hayward was there.
Cole Holcomb or Landon Roberts?
No, it's Larry Ogunjobi was their big free agent.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was their
Patrick
big free agent guy.
Peterson? Is that who you were thinking of?
No.
Anyways, Chase Young's one of those guys that regardless of where he ends up, because
Well, I guess you put him opposite side of T.J. Watt. That's a pretty formidable duel right there.
yeah, I mean, Jesus. Right now, the Lions have the best odds to land him.
And so
That's 'cause the Lions
I
have
want
the
something
most
to
cap
say.
space.
I want to say I have something to say right now. It's exactly it. The Lions just have the most cap space. At this point, if Allah or Jesus Christ himself or Abraham or Noah or any biblical figure was a free agent, the Lions are going to be linked to them because they have the most money to spend. And that's what's happening with Chase Young. I wouldn't take a flyer on Chase Young for too many assets. Of course he would look good here, but people don't realize how
Third round
loaded.
pick of Julian Aguirre.
I don't know about a third. I'd do a fourth and another pass rusher. I'd send a pass rusher back that isn't young. Maybe Romeo Okwara. I don't know about Julian Okwara. Maybe you send both the Okwaras.
They wanted Julian.
Let him
That's
both
fine.
go.
They could have him.
Aguirre in a third round pick.
That's
For
fine.
a first overall pick.
I would do that 100% because Chase Young would probably he's been good when he's played, and I think he would thrive opposite Aiden Hutchinson's. You'd have two of the best elite
Young
pass
pass
rushers.
rushers.
Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
24. Chase Young's
I
24.
know, he's still a kid.
You would get a mulligan on messing up with Okuda, which of course it's out of your control because
Right.
you went a pick later. You picked a pick later, but it would make a lot of people in this town feel a lot better that you got the guy that's better. And then if he plays well, it's just all house money. I'd take a flyer on him for the right price. I still love Quinnen Williams as the best trade option or sign option for the Lions available.
You know, and if Chris Jones somehow that little
Yeah.
debacle there in Kansas City was to fall apart, I'd give them a first round pick.
See, I had a feeling you were going to say that, but the problem is with the Chris Jones thing. I mean, now we're talking $20 million a year.
I'm good with
I don't
that.
think-
I'll give Chris Jones $20 million to come here.
I still don't think if you sign Chase Young and he's healthy all year this year, he could demand that kind of money. Not off of 1 year.
not Chris Jones money.
Not Chris Jones money.
No.
And I think
He'd get a bridge. He would get a bridge to his next
Correct.
deal because I think if you trade a player whose fifth-year option doesn't get picked up, the team that trades for him can't pick it up.
Right.
So this is the last year of his contract, I think, regardless.
Correct. I would, honest to God, I'd rather give up Julian Aquara or both Aquaras or all the Aquara and a third-round pick for Chase Young and see if it pans out than tie up that much cap. Into Chris Jones right now. It's not like
Not like the Lions have to spend this cap money regardless, because they're going to spend it next year.
Yeah, they gotta. They're talking with Goff preliminarily, and then you have Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to ask for money. Penei Sewell's going to ask for money soon. Then you got to worry about Hutchinson next year. So I think that's why they're playing their cards close to their chest. That being said, at some point,
they're going to jump.
I think that there's just too many people that they've been linked to, and I think at some
They're going to
point,
have more cap space next year than they do this year.
yeah, a lot of stuff comes
Yeah.
off the books next year. But what I'm trying to say is, one of these guys is going to materialize for them. I think at some point, might not be this year, but they're going to be linked to so many guys, and there's so many names that at some point they're going to land one of these guys. Similar to the C.J. Gardner-Johnson signing, the Lions were linked to him. He waited a week or two in a free agency. Boom, he ended up here. They got the top safety on the market. So
You want to know? I'm looking at this odds list, and this was updated today now. So
are they still number one? The Lions?
they are number one. And there's a few other teams in here that don't really make Seattle's number 2
Seattle needs a pass rusher. They were supposed to take a pass rusher in this draft
and didn't.
and didn't do it.
Chicago,
They need defensive help, and you can make the case that
They need help
pass
all the way
rusher.
down the line, offensive and defensive help.
the Giants.
I don't know. They
Like,
got
talking
their
about
own issues. And
Seattle was a playoff
it's
team last year.
interdivision,
They're
too.
only going to get better.
That's what I was
the
thinking.
Giants are interdivision, so it's going to cost more.
Houston, New Orleans, Pittsburgh.
Houston makes sense. Houston makes a lot of sense. You throw him across from Willie Anderson. Pittsburgh, fit, yeah. Don't know if they could pull it off. New Orleans, I mean, I don't know. He fits with a lot of those teams, but you got to trade for him. So
Right.
who's going to want to move assets?
Who wants the pony up?
Who's going to want to pay for him
Yeah.
on the trade front and give him the contract if it works out? Who's going to want to do that is the question.
Correct.
Who could afford to do that?
I've had enough of talking about the news today. And we've talked about the news a whole lot as of late. And so I want to break down a list from 33rdteam.com where they ranked officially all 32 NFL head coaches. I quickly went through this list because I really didn't want to spoil it myself.
Okay.
But I want to go through this from bottom to top and see how you guys feel about it and get some thoughts on it. And I mean,
Can I start with the 32nd coach in the NFL?
We can go from the bottom. I pulled it up just now, so if you want to go from the bottom, let's do it.
I would love to.
From the bottom.
Can I say who should be the
Sure. Yes, you
30
can.
seconds?
Wait, can I guess what you're going to say?
Go ahead.
Mike McCarthy.
How did you know?
It's
How
fair.
did you know?
It's fair.
Is he there? Is
No,
he at 32?
he's not there.
What
He's
the
not.
fuck? You trying to tell me there's one worse than him?
Well-
The guy's defense carried him to one Super Bowl in 2010,
oh God!
and he's
Reggie
a top
White.
coach. Jesus
Reggie
Christ.
fucking White.
I'll-
R.I.P.
I'll say this. They put all three of the new head coaches at the bottom.
Fair.
0 seasons with teams, 0-0 head coaching record. So 32 is Jonathan Gannon, Arizona.
Who's not off to a good start, by the way.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
He's already buried. Go ahead.
D'Amico Ryans at 31.
Okay.
Shane Steichen at 30.
Okay.
And now we get into guys who actually
Our coaches in the
are
league right
coaches.
now.
So this one, honestly, it surprised me, but also at the same time, I get it.
No, I'm with it. I'm with this one.
So if you had to guess who the worst head coach is active that we've seen coach in the NFL right now,
Right now.
don't say Mike McCarthy because
It's
you
not
know
Mike
he's
McCarthy.
not that low. It's
The answer,
not Mike
the
McCarthy.
answer isn't
He
Mike
should
McCarthy.
be that low.
So who do you think it is?
I have no idea. You got me.
Come on.
Stumped.
You want a hint?
AFC.
Yeah.
So he's in his second stint as a head coach, and he's in the AFC.
Second stint. Josh McDaniels?
Yeah.
Josh McDaniels.
So at 29,
Shit. That was
Josh
pretty good. I pulled
McDaniels.
that out of my ass. I have not seen this list, by the way. I have not seen it.
I mean, my God. Right in here, they criticized the hiring of him and how they didn't
Oh,
hire
I
that,
do too. You know
Pasicchia.
what? Mark Davis is a weirdo. We all know that. He's weird.
God, we
Josh
gotta do
McDaniels
an
is
owners
not a
rankings
good
for
coach.
Uncle Sam.
Very good
Yeah, we
offensive coordinator. Horrible head coach.
I still don't know if I agree with that 100% because, I mean, when you go up on this list and hear some, okay, I'm sorry. You're going to sit here and tell
If
me.
Mike McCarthy's name was there before his, I would be
Hold
like,
on.
okay.
Hold on. Well, because I'm
What?
gonna make the same argument that you did.
Okay, go ahead.
Realistically, after seeing what we saw last year,
Yes.
would you rather have Josh McDaniels as head coach than Todd Bowles?
No, Todd Bowles is off.
Todd Bowles was an
I have
absolute
to say,
fucking
They're
atrocity.
kind of
how
in the
he's
same,
not
they're in
there?
the same ballpark to McDaniels and Todd Bowles.
I would say McDaniels is better than fucking
I
Todd
agree.
Bowles.
This is
nobody
why I
worth-
give a slight edge to Josh McDaniels. And by the way, I think he sucks, and I think he's a bottom 5 coach in the league, and I think he's going to get fired this year. I know what you're thinking, but the difference between McDaniels and Bowles, and why I'm going to agree with you on the Todd Bowles thing, is in their first stints as head coaches, because Todd Bowles was a head coach too.
Correct. This is
beforehand.
the second time.
He also choked pretty bad and never did well, whereas McDaniels had like one decent
Todd Bowles buried
Tim
the
Tebow
Jets.
season.
He buried the
Right.
Jets.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
He did. I don't know. I think the jury's a little more out on Todd Bowles than it is on Josh McDaniels, but I will
Yeah.
give it to you. If you want to say Todd Bowles is worse than Josh McDaniels, I'll give it to you.
I'm going to make an argument for another one because I'd probably have to swap number 28 and number 29 too. So above McDaniels by one spot at 28 is Matt Eberflus. Chicago Bears with a 3-14 record.
But he's not still coach there, is he?
Yes, he is.
He
Oh,
is.
fuck.
I think the jury's it's too soon to tell on him. Just like it would be too
Yeah, I
soon to
would
tell
say
on Josh. On,
gotta
Dan
give him
Campbell.
another year.
Gotta give him another year, and honestly, you might even have to give him 2 years because they were fully committed to what they're doing right now in the rebuild.
Okay.
So I think if they improve this year, he moves up the list. But you can't judge him year one, just like you couldn't judge Dan Campbell year
Oh,
one.
who the fuck was that in Denver that got fired? What was his name?
Hackett.
Hackett. Oh my God, he's fucking awful.
Hackett would have had to have been below McDaniels.
Hackett was bad. He was supposed to win the division and
Fucking awful.
finished in last.
Awful.
At 27, right above Eberflus, is Dennis Allen of the Saints.
We're all high on the Saints this year.
I'm
Dennis
high on-
Allen.
yes.
I think Dennis Allen. He needs more time.
And
That's been a shit show there. I mean, they can't get a quarterback right now.
I don't know if
The
he's going to
defense
get more
is
time,
very
though.
good,
I don't think
but
they're going to give him more time.
Yeah, I don't.
Sorry,
think
I
he's-
cut you off. What
You
were
don't
you going
think
to say?
so?
I don't think they're going to give him more time because they went out and got assets this year. They got
Right.
One would think
gotta win the
Tampa's
division.
gone. Tampa's gone.
Right.
So
If
this is their
they're
shit to
not
get off the
competitive
pot.
right now.
Yeah.
He's gone.
I have them in the
would've- I
playoffs.
would've-
They might even get into the playoffs as a wild card because I think that their schedule is that favorable. We went over it in that division. They
Correct.
get to play the Falcons twice. They get to play the Bucks twice, and then if the Panthers are bad, they get them twice. So hypothetically, this is his shit or get off the pot year
Right.
in New Orleans. They expect more.
agree 1,000%. I don't know if he's a good coach or a bad coach. The whole thing is like, okay.
It's hard to judge guys when the teams
McDaniels-
are in fucking total disarray.
Well, and it's not even, but
really is.
McDaniels, you constantly heard criticism about McDaniels, right? Eberflus, you heard constant criticism. Todd Bowles, you heard constant criticism. We haven't heard criticism or not criticism from Dennis Allen.
We
He
have not.
just kind of exists.
It's almost
kind
as
of
if a
there.
lot of people didn't know he was the coach there.
Correct.
yeah.
At 26 is Todd Bowles, who I believe is the worst head coach in football. Period. I mean, he's
25?
34-50 career at 26.
It's
and
real
that's with
simple. If
Tom
anybody,
Brady for 3
if
years.
anybody watched a Tampa Bay game last year, you see why he's the worst coach in football.
I mean, it was awful. And I mean,
They were drawing up plays in the fucking dirt.
like, let's be real. You had Tom Brady last year. You limped your way to 8-9 into the playoffs, got smoked, and now you have a quarterback competition between Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask. So you think it's going to get any better? If I was him, I would have left. Because it's good. This is going to be. They're going to win what? 3
Is he
games
still
this
the
year?
coach, Todd
Yes. They're going to win 3 games. They got rid of Leftwich. Leftwich was the martyr.
Oh,
for
he
Bowles.
took the blame?
Yeah, he took the blame.
Sort of like the kid in Dallas took the blame.
Oh,
What's his name? He's the
Kellen Moore.
OC on,
Kellen Moore.
Huh?
Kellen Moore.
Yeah. He took the fucking blame for Mike McCarthy's in that fucking coaching style.
I don't agree with these next two. And the guy at 23 sucks in my opinion. So
I
I
agree.
don't like where the 25 and 24 are.
25, and he's gonna throw a fit right now. Robert Saleh.
What?
Yeah.
I was that one shocked me.
Yeah, just
Are you kidding me?
you can't call Dan Campbell a good coach and not call Robert Saleh a good coach because Robert Saleh almost had that team winning, into the playoff. They almost got into the playoffs with no quarterback last year.
And their running back went down.
Running back
Correct.
went down a lot. They had a lot of injuries. Quinnen Williams was injured for a couple games. That being said, he's
I don't agree with that
fringe
at all.
hot seat this year.
I don't agree with
if
that
there's
at all.
if there's some choking action, and I don't think the Jets are going to be amazingly good this year, but if there's some choking action this year, then this is kind of justifiable. But his players love him. He's turned around a franchise that seems very difficult to turn around. And through 2 years, year one bad, year
Hey,
two.
let's look
pretty
at it
good.
this way. When have the Jets really been relevant? Not since Rex Ryan was in his first 2 years there have they been relevant.
Yeah.
Well-
but is that because of him or Aaron Rodgers?
Well,
He had
no,
them
I would say it's because of Salah.
he had
turned
them
that whole
competing.
team around.
He had them competing last year, and he had their
Because
defense. as a
Todd
top line
Bowles
defense.
was there for 2 fucking years and buried the whole franchise.
Well, I'm gonna say
What?
this too. I mean, are we gonna blame Robert Saleh on the fact that
No,
the
you
front
can't.
office fucking whiffed on Zach Wilson, and then for the last 2 years they've had a different
Hey,
quarterback every game.
Woody
Except for
Johnson's the
hurt.
guy to fucking blame.
Yeah,
Because he continues to hire the wrong people.
He's a bad owner.
Awful.
He's just like
Remember this when we do the
the
owners
people
ranking.
that were here
Yeah,
prior.
We're gonna have to do the owner rank.
Go ahead.
Disagree with 24, but I think I'm in the minority for disagreeing.
No, I disagree with you too. Frank Reich, 24.
Yeah, I think Frank Reich's a top 10 coach in football. I don't know why he got fired. He had no quarterback for 2. He had the ghost of Philip Rivers.
Quarterback again?
Goes to
Goes to Philip Rivers and the ghost of Matt Ryan, and he got fired. Sam Ellinger.
What the fuck?
To the point when the Eagles stomped out the Colts last year. What's his face? Got off the Nick Sirianni got off the field screaming, "That was for fucking Frank Reich,"
What do you got,
because that's how
Boy?
he revered Frank
What are you
Reich.
playing with your Game Boy?
Oh, that's the button for the.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah,
Anyways.
so we're in consensus. I think Frank Reich's a top 10 coach. I think their success is going to be the Panthers' success is going to be tied to him. I think if they succeed, it's going to be because him. And I think he's in a really good situation finally that he didn't have in Indianapolis.
I mean, yeah. You want to talk about a bad situation in Indianapolis? Not only was
I would love to go to Indianapolis as a coach, because all I would do is be inside the owner's box drinking Chivas with the owner.
And
that's what I would be doing.
I was going to say,
What?
what you would be there for is what I was going to say is a drawback. One, he didn't have a quarterback. Two, I mean, you had Jonathan Taylor injured for a good chunk of last year as well, who's your entire offense. Three, the fucking Colts just weren't good. Like, they just didn't have that great of a roster.
Yeah, but you know what? They were
Four,
good, and they slowly but surely just declined.
You had Jim Irsay come down and say, hey, that old bastard Matt Ryan, get rid of him. We're going to toss this kid out there. And look how the fuck that panned out. So
They should have just stuck with Matt Ryan, played the year out. I don't know what the Jeff Saturday thing was. I'm still trying to figure that out. Is he on the list? Jeff Saturday?
You can't hire a coach. No, he got fired.
Okay.
You can't hire a coach whose last name's Saturday for a team that plays on Sundays.
Amen. Okay.
Yeah. Just play center. Just play center, Jeff. Shut up and play center.
That's what Peyton told him.
Yep.
23 blew my mind as well. Kevin Stefanski.
He threw in one good year, and he was a good coordinator, but he's been bad for 2 years now. And some may say it's because he hasn't had a quarterback, but I don't know. I don't think he's going to be the second coming like they thought he was. I don't think he's going to get it done. And this may be his last year here, but who knows? I think they're in arguably the toughest division in football.
Agreed.
And I think they're going to have 3 playoff teams in that division. So it's going to be tough, but you got your full year of Deshaun Watson, and let's see where things go from here.
Everybody keeps defaulting to this. You got your full year of Deshaun Watson thing. And like even on here, this is with Deshaun Watson eligible to play the whole year. I'm sorry. I don't know if Deshaun Watson is Deshaun Watson of 3 years ago anymore.
Okay, let's say for shits and giggles, he's going to play a full year. What did they do with him last year?
Nothing.
What did they win with Deshaun Watson
he came
last
back,
year?
they did nothing.
Did he win one game?
I forgot he came
One
back.
out of 5 that he played in?
I think, no, they won 2 with him.
Okay, so he won 2 out of 5.
Correct.
So give him 2 more. Full year. 2 tops 3. Okay?
I just don't know. I just don't know why everybody's so.
I don't know.
Because if, honest to God, I would have Saleh and Frank Reich.
He's a top 3 guy. He's got a top 3 quarterback. I don't know. You can't make excuses for inept.
This one shocked me, but I again, like I said this when we were talking about Buffalo a few weeks ago. Everybody in Buffalo, I feel like, is on the hot seat this year. And at 22, they have Sean McDermott.
I agree.
I don't. I think he's a great coach. I just think he's saddled with a quarterback that can't get it together, because Sean McDermott is one of the reasons everything turned around in Buffalo when him and Brandon Beane, the GM, came in. They did it together. And just looking up at the list, I think Sean McDermott is better than about 5 coaches that are in front of him on this list. So I think he's too low.
I would have to agree with you.
Yeah. I mean, wait till you find out who 21
Number 21 is Mike McCarthy.
Well, Mike McCarthy's in front of him. That's a travesty as it is. I mean, we know that.
Mike McCarthy.
But I think he's on his decline, and I think he's on the hot seat, and I understand why.
This is his shit or get off the pot year, too.
Agreed.
I think you could possibly see both of them gone.
I know they don't
after
pull the
this
trigger on head coaches often in Dallas, but there's a body of work there. And
I don't
things are
think he's
falling
done
apart.
that enough.
If they don't, I mean, I don't know if they're expecting to win the division
Look at
this
how
year
long
there, but
he's stuck with Jason Garrett.
it was a long time. That's what I'm trying to say. They don't pull the trigger that
That's his
often.
demise.
So-
that's why he's going to die without a Super Bowl.
And same with Wade Phillips. He was there for a long time too. That being
Wade
said,
Phillips was a good defensive coordinator.
Great.
That's it.
great. He won a Super Bowl.
That's it.
That being said, I think this is Mike McCarthy's shit or get off the pot year. I don't know who they get, but
I'd like to see him gone this year. Hopefully by week 8, I hope he's gone.
we'll call that our pig roast episode.
Yeah,
when he gets
because
fired.
you know what? If they're out of it early, if they don't jump out and actually get a big lead on Philadelphia, you could throw the dirt on them, dude. You're done.
At least I know that we don't have to spend that much time on these next few. 20 is Brandon State.
No, I got a lot to say about this fucking guy.
Go.
He is arguably he's bottom 3 of coaches that are not new.
The guy
he's-
from San Diego?
the Chargers.
Correct.
I think he's a
I'm
bottom
sorry,
3.
LA.
They have him on this list. They justify it because he's got 2 winning seasons. I think he's got 2 playoff years. He is not a good coach. I've watched him single-handedly choke games, and he's typically it's the analytics is why he got hired. Oh, the analytics guys are pretty good, and he comes from that same school of thought. I think it's worked against him on some of his decision making, and he sucks. I think he's one of the worst coaches, and I think he's one of the earliest coaches to get fired this year.
Okay.
Can't disagree with anything you just said.
No, I agree. He's underachieved.
19. Ron Rivera.
Riverboat Ron, Uncle Sam.
I'll say this: Ron hasn't had a quarterback.
They account
Period.
for past coaching experience on
Correct.
this list too.
Correct.
So they're slightly accounting for
All right,
Panthers
so they're
Ron
accounting
Rivera too.
his
may have went
time
to a
at
Super Bowl.
Carolina?
He went to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He's 98, 90, and 2 all time.
So
500.
So same
500.
drill. There's 3 or 4 guys that I think he's better than on this list, and for that reason, I think he's way too
That's
too
a little low for him.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think they're there eventually. I think one of the reasons the Commanders are going to advance like they always do, they're like cockroaches. They come back every 3 or 4 years. One of the reasons they're going to do it is because of him.
Because of their defense.
And I think they're going to get a quarterback eventually, too. So
Once they get a quarterback, I think they really have a chance to make some noise and be successful.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think Sam Howell's the guy.
I think that Ron Rivera and Sean McDermott should both be above the next guy.
Okay.
At 18, it's Arthur Smith. And I know the record's not really against him. He's 14 and 20 in 2 years. And that's not horrendous. But at the end of the day, I think Atlanta, everybody, like right on here, it says how subpar Atlanta's roster is. He hasn't had a quarterback. He got them 14 wins in the last 2 years without a quarter. Like, I don't think it's that bad. I don't think he is that bad.
I think people agree with you this year, too.
And I think he should have a better year this year. I would still have Ron Rivera and McDermott above him.
I agree with that.
But I don't think he's that bad.
While we're here, it sounds like it is going to be Desmond Ridder, by the way.
And I think it should be. I think Desmond Ridder is going to be I think he could be the guy there. I know we didn't see it last year. I know we didn't, but I think Desmond Ridder could be the guy there. Do I think he's going to take the world by storm?
No.
No. But do I think he is going to be...
Listen, they got pieces in place. They got Bijan Robinson.
That's it.
They're going to turn him loose, and hopefully Ritter can find a couple of these receivers that they have downfield. I mean, that's the only chance they have. The defense is what literally gave up on them last year. It was their defense. They couldn't stop anybody.
I don't want to spend a ton of time on Atlanta here, but I'm going to ask you one question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Bijan can be as productive as Derrick Henry? Not in the first year, I'm saying in general.
Yeah, I do.
If the Titans and Derrick Henry can win 13 games with Ryan Tannehill, Atlanta with Bijan Robinson can win 13 games.
Atlanta was the top 5.
He had a big hand.
Year.
He had a really big hand. Like if you ask Vrabel all the coaches who have left him over the years, he'll be devastated over Art Smith. He had a big hand of what was going on there. Real quick before we move on Arthur Smith, did you guys know that he is one of the heirs to the FedEx fortune?
I did not know.
His dad's a multi-billionaire. His dad co-founded FedEx.
Well, he's doing this because he loves to do it.
Just
not
loves
because of the
football.
money.
That's a big thing.
Yeah.
He just loves
God
football.
bless Arthur Smith.
God bless him.
This 17, I think, is a bottom third coach, in my opinion.
Matt LaFleur.
Bottom third coach.
I think it's way too high.
I think there's a couple other guys that need to be above him because he hasn't really shown anything. And I think Aaron Rodgers is glad to be the hell out of it.
I mean, Jesus Christ, he had Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
You took over one of the most winningest teams in football. You had Aaron Rodgers.
And
What do
you
you
were
win?
unable
2
to do anything
MVPs in
with
the
it
last
for how
4
many years? 3
Again,
years, 4 years?
It not even factoring like the personnel and what you underutilize is one thing, but when we're talking about in-game decision making, and he has some brilliant flashes. He was part of that commander staff that had McVay and Kyle Shanahan and all them and Mike McDaniel. So I just don't think he's that good of a coach. I don't think his decision making is that good, and I think he's one of the reasons why Aaron Rodgers didn't win as much in his last couple of years.
Now, they struggle this year, and it all falls apart for them. You think he's gone?
They also don't move through coaches very often.
Yeah,
I don't think he's gone.
We've seen that.
So
How long
maybe-
was Mike McCarthy there
Maybe
for?
not this
15
year.
years?
I think they get a mulligan on Jordan Love. I think that they're going to let that situation unfold first. Maybe next year, but not this year.
Can't argue that. Right above him. Well, actually, I was kind of surprised to see him above him. Dan Campbell at 16, dead in the middle.
Scrolling up, there's only 1 or 2 guys on the list above Dan Campbell that I would say, not that I would take above Dan Campbell, because I'm taking Dan Campbell above all coaches in the NFL. I think we have the best coach in football. That being said, there's only 1 or 2 guys that I might take in front of him from this list. Just one, to be honest with you. So this is a decent spot.
I would take him over
The guy in front of
15.
him.
14, it would be a good argument.
It's a tie, 14.
13,
It's a tie again with 13.
I agree.
The same reasons.
I'll take Campbell over 12.
Okay.
I think I might take Campbell over 11.
Wow, you're high on him.
I am. If it was me, that's exactly where I would have Dan Campbell, is at 11.
Listen, Dan
For
Campbell, everybody needs to remember last year.
I would have Dan
And
Campbell.
the bad decision. And I'm not talking about the year before. Okay? Last year, the first 6 games, he made some horrendous calls that cost them at least 2 games. At least 2 games. I can't get that out of my head.
What were you going to say just now?
The reason why I would move Dan Campbell up further
Okay.
is because in my heart, there's only one other guy in the league, one other coach in the league who you get the more he's that player friendly from. Okay? Player friendly
Reid.
coach.
Is it Mike Vrabel?
No,
Mike Tomlin?
Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
On this list, okay, because let's be real here, I'm not a huge Mike Tomlin guy. I know you're really not either.
I am.
I like Mike.
If Mike Tomlin's going to be 3, and realistically, all over the last few, I mean, he always gets the team to 500, but I don't see that big of
He
a
pulled
jump.
rabbits out of fucking hats last year.
My hot take on Mike Tomlin is that I think he's the best all-around coach in football. I think,
Really?
I think he's the best
You
all-around
know
coach.
what? I wouldn't say that because I think John Harbaugh is right next to him.
Number 2 for me.
You
John
would
Harbaugh.
have to say John Harbaugh.
Players
just
love to
because
play for him, the way they
Harbaugh
think.
doesn't have the roster
All right, let's
that
get
Mike
there.
Tomlin has dealt with.
15, Kevin O'Connell.
Shouldn't even be.
Why?
He stumbled into this list. I think it's all going to come. It's going to show this
why?
year. He stumbled into it.
Yeah,
I'm just saying
I
why.
put Campbell above him. 14, Mike McDaniel. I love Mike McDaniel.
I love Mike McDaniel.
He's a
too.
weirdo.
He's a weirdo, but he's outstanding.
Weirdo, but
Great,
I
great
like
coach.
him too.
Same drill. Players love him. He's really smart. He makes good in-game decisions. I think they're going to be happy with him in Miami for a long time.
13, Mike Vrabel.
Could easily
I think
decline
he's
soon.
kind of
Agree.
running.
And I
his
think
course.
we're on the turn there.
But as a coach, the only box that he checks off that matters to me at this point is that the players love him. Everything else has kind of not come. And he was there for a turnaround, and he's won some games, but
He's lost a lot of coordinators too. Like
Yes,
you said.
Art
and
Smith.
I think that's really affected his team. Period.
we'll find out how good Mike Vrabel is over the next year or two, because I think he's going to be allowed to usher in the Levis era unless things are really bad. So we'll find out how good he is. If you asked me this 2 years ago, I would have had him in the top 5 or 6. This year, I think he's in a good spot, and it's only because his players love him.
At 12 is Zach Taylor. I'm sorry. I don't
That's
think
a
he
little
makes
low
that
for
big of a
him,
I don't
no?
think he makes as big of a difference as anybody thinks. Yeah, because before Joe Burrow was there, what the fuck did you have? You had a dumpster fire. I mean, point blank period.
Went from
I don't
worst
think
to first, bud.
I don't think there's too many guys that you couldn't have plugged in there,
Oh, come
and they
on.
would have made a difference.
Yeah, put Mike
Sorry.
McCarthy there. Hello.
I could see it what you said, but I agree with Uncle Sam. There were too many
They
factors
were
outside
horrible
of Joe
for
Burrow.
decades.
There were too many factors outside of Joe Burrow that also helped them go to a Super Bowl. Like their defense turned around out of nowhere. Burrow was the most essential part, but I think everything else that came
Zach
with
Taylor
it.
You
put
like
that
him better than
together.
Vrabel?
Not better than Vrabel, no. Not better than Vrabel. Not better than Mike
Do
McDaniel.
you trust him more than Dan Campbell? Do you like him more than Dan Campbell?
Don't like him more than Dan Campbell. You know what? That's one of the two guys that I would have circled, like him and O'Connell. I would have circled over Dan Campbell. That I wouldn't take on this list that are in
Yeah.
front of Dan Campbell. I
Sirianni.
wouldn't take.
on.
He's up there. No, I don't. To answer your question,
11, John Harbaugh, who I know you guys are both very high.
I think that's low for him.
that's very low. I think he's a top
I
5
think he's-
minimum.
yeah.
Top 5. He's done more with less and with injuries
Than anybody.
for years.
Than
He's won a
anybody.
Super Bowl.
He has not had the rosters
Yeah.
that these other
Everyone
guys
gets
have.
banged up every year, and they're still right there, and they're still always in the playoffs, and his players love him. And I
They're
just
never
remember
in
that
cap
clip.
trouble.
I remember
They're
that
never
clip.
in cap trouble.
Remember when they beat Kansas City a couple years ago, and he called a timeout and called Lamar over, and he's like, "We going for this? I'm 4th down," and he's just talking to his players like he's a player. I think guys want to play for John Harbaugh, and I think it's going to show this year.
I'd have him at 8 or 9. I would. I'd have him up 3 or 4
Okay.
spots. 10. Love this. Absolutely love this one. Doug Peterson.
He's top 10 coach in football.
Agree.
Yeah.
I can't argue with that. I'd have John Harbaugh above him,
Okay.
but I like Doug Peterson. Everybody knows me in Jacksonville. So I can't argue with that. And I mean,
And, you
that-
know, look what he did while he was in Philly.
right. I mean, and that Jacksonville game last year, again, if you think about one football game from last year, I think about that game and that Jacksonville.
All I'm thinking about is I want to see Calvin Ridley on that team. That's what I
I
want
was
to
just
see.
thinking about that today. It's going to be really
Yeah.
cool.
Hey, you ready to watch him turn red right now?
Yeah.
Number 9 is Pete Carroll.
No, you want to know something? I agree with that.
But no
I
higher
agree.
than 9?
I would have had him at 10, but yeah. I think I would have put Harbaugh in front of him.
So suffice
In a
it to
minute.
say you're not turning red right now, right?
Why?
Well, I'm going to make you turn red because I think Pete Carroll's a top 5 coach in football.
I don't.
He just thinks he's a scumbag.
That scumbag is fair, but he's won
I don't
everywhere
think
he's been.
I would have him. I would have Harbaugh ahead of him.
And this is another guy.
Here's the thing. Pete Carroll. How should I put this? He inherited a playoff team.
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't
Mike
know if you
Holmgren
get-
had that team in the playoffs.
I don't
Every
know if
year
you
he
get
was
Russell
there.
Wilson without Pete Carroll. I don't know if Russell Wilson happens without Pete Carroll. And the Legion of Boom, that crazy, insane defense
Listen,
that he modeled
Seattle
off of what he was doing at
with,
USC.
what was his fucking name? The quarterback?
Matt Hasselbeck.
Matt Hasselbeck.
They were
Mike
good.
Holmgren took Matt Hasselbeck
Sean
to the fucking
Alexander.
playoffs.
Yeah, but I mean, it was
Super Bowl.
It was a different league. I think
That's
in
almost
the
like-
era Carroll won in.
That's almost like this. Almost.
It's fair. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. But he also Sean Alexander was an MVP candidate
Yeah.
when home. And
Well,
they got
Pete
fucking
Carroll had the
crushed.
best defense in football, and that a lot of that.
Yeah.
They
But
got
that-
him
but that
obliterated
was him.
in
The credit for
Super
that.
Bowl.
That was him, and they got shredded by the Patriots, and
Right.
they were a bad Darryl Bevel play call away from beating.
But as
the
soon as they
Patriots,
lost, what was his name? The coordinator that went to Atlanta. Buck.
They had Kyle Shanahan, didn't they?
No. They lost Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn.
When they
that's right.
lost Dan Quinn, the Legion of Boom went, and they weren't the fucking same afterwards. Period.
Maybe
Yes.
and then you look at what he did last year. I of course I didn't think they deserved to be there, but he took Geno
I think
Smith.
he shocked a lot of people just making the playoffs.
He took Geno Smith
what
to the
he had.
playoffs. It's another guy players love.
Yeah.
I'm high on him.
Okay, this one actually upsets me. How do you have Brian Dabble at 8 and Dan Campbell at 16?
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't
Babes.
understand that either.
Because he sits there. And
I like Dabo, but I don't think. I just don't think he's that good.
There are 3 guys on this list that I wanted the Lions to hire when they hired Dan Campbell, and Brian
Dabble
Dable
was one of them.
Brian Dable
Yeah.
was one of them. Doug Peterson was another one of them. I think Brian Dable is excellent. I would have him over Dan Campbell. I think he's too high on this particular
He's too high on
list.
this list. I wouldn't have him over. Honest to God, I wouldn't have him over Pete Carroll. I wouldn't
No,
have
he's
him
too
over
high.
Peterson. I wouldn't
He's
have him
too
over
high.
Harbaugh.
Yeah.
And I probably wouldn't have him over Zach Taylor.
Yeah, maybe
Or
Mike
Vrabel.
maybe Mike McDaniel too.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Dave will be sitting pretty at 14, but at 7, Sean McVay. I love how all of us are silent.
This is Sean McVay's shit or get off the pot.
I don't
season.
think it is.
It's weird. It's weird because there's coaches that I wouldn't that are in front of him. There's 2 I think that are in front of him that I wouldn't have in front of him. But also there's coaches that are behind him that I would have in front of him, if that makes sense. So this is a good soft landing spot for Sean McVay. It's not shit or get off the pot. I disagree. I think he could have that job for life if he wants it, unless they just have losing seasons every year. That being said, we're going to learn a lot about Sean McVay this year.
This year.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
6, Kyle Shanahan.
Way too high for him.
Top 10, but too high.
My opinion, too high.
Top 10,
I'd
but
put
too high.
McVay over him. And honest to God, I mean, if you want to talk about the whole
You got to put Pete Carroll over him.
the whole scope of the work, you've got to put Pete Carroll over him.
Yeah, and Harbaugh and Peterson.
And John Harbaugh.
There's
I don't
three-
understand why John Harbaugh was
There's
way
4.
down on that fucking list.
There's 4 Super Bowl winning coaches that are, or at least 3 Super Bowl winning coaches that are
should
behind
be up
him.
there.
That
Yeah,
should be
that's
up there.
ridiculous.
Well, 4 if you include Sean McVay. All those guys won. Sean McVay, Carroll, Harbaugh, and Peterson all won Super Bowls. Love Kyle Shanahan. I know you don't. I think he's a top 10 coach. He's not the 6th best coach in football.
He overthinks his way out of championships.
And the guy in front
far
of
as
him,
I'm concerned.
number 5 guy, also is way too high. I don't even think he's
Okay.
a top 10 coach.
Who's number 5?
Sirianni
Like him. I like
Nick
Sirianni.
Sirianni?
Yeah.
at 5.
Great coach. Like him. He
I think that's too high for him.
way too high. He's not in the top 10.
I do too.
No, he's not a top 10 coach.
Yeah.
I agree. With
Good coach.
You
though.
could have
Good
him
coach.
right on
Very
that,
good
right on
coach.
that cusp. I mean, again, you want to put him right in there with Zach Taylor.
Yes. Sirianni, Taylor,
Yeah.
Campbell. I think you can
guys
put all
that
those
brought
guys
that brought a team
in
to
the
the Super Bowl
low-
and choked.
in the low 10s.
I think he should be right there. Number 4, Sean Payton.
Way too high. Way too high.
So
Yeah, top 10 coach though. But I wouldn't take Sean Payton over. And we're going through that list. The only guy on that list that I would take him over is Doug Peterson. So I wouldn't take him over Harbaugh. I wouldn't take him over Carroll. I'd probably take him over
I would
Brian
take him over
Dable.
Carroll.
I'd take him
I
over
think
Dable
exactly.
and maybe Sean McVay and then Shanahan. So I think Sean Payton's just outside of the top 5. Certainly
Okay.
not 4.
I like him right where he's at.
That's fair.
I just think that he,
We'll see. I mean, we're all going to see this year.
If he can recreate the wheel,
yeah.
well, he's going to have
If he
to.
can recreate what he had in San Francisco with Russell Wilson as his Drew Brees and get all that going,
we're talking like one of the best coaches ever. If he can,
yeah.
if he can
if
do
he
it
can
with
do,
Denver.
especially
He can
'cause
turn
of what we
around that
saw
team
last year. Fuck.
and get Russell Wilson to say, "Hey, you are a football player." I think we could really do something here.
Number 3, Mike Tomlin.
I
don't have a problem.
number 1 for me. So I
don't have-
understand who doesn't have number 1. I think he's a top.
No, I
quarterback.
think Andy Reid's better than him.
Yeah,
That's
fair.
my opinion.
That's fair.
And I think Bill Belichick's better than him.
Well,
You
those
can't
are-
take Bill Belichick out of the fucking coaching ranks. I still think Bill Belichick is the best coach in football because he's done it longer than these other guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I got Tomlinson right behind him.
those are the next 2 guys.
Yeah.
Belichick at 2, Andy Reid at 1.
I'll give
I don't
you guys,
I don't have an issue with that at all.
I'll give you guys a hot take on Belichick just because I know what you just said. And I know you're a Patriots fan. Top 5 for sure. For years, I believed that Tom Brady wasn't extraordinary and couldn't win without Belichick, and Bill Belichick wasn't extraordinary and couldn't win without Tom Brady. I thought it was a symbiotic relationship.
Agreed.
I thought together they were the best. I think it's clear now that Belichick may have needed. I don't think Tom Brady's a world beater. I don't think he's the GOAT, even though the rings say it. And I'm a Michigan fan too, so it's saying a lot. That being said, I don't think Belichick could win without Brady. We'll see. Top
Here's-
coach all time
I
statistically.
will say this.
right?
If Belichick was left with a Garoppolo instead of fucking what he's had the past 2 years, I think it would have been a different story.
If he hangs out long enough, out there long enough, I don't think it's Mac Jones, but if he hangs out there long enough, there's some good quarterbacks. And if he gets a quarterback, I would love to see one last Belichick run because he's X's and O's. There's no one better. Game planning, I think there's no one better than Belichick.
Where he sets himself apart from everybody else is his halftime adjustments.
Yeah.
To come out of a fucking halftime and to adjust. I don't think there's anybody better than him.
I agree that Andy Reid is also better. I would take Andy Reid
I do
over
too.
because Andy Reid has done it in different stops.
Correct.
And I would love to see.
There's another player-friendly coach. All these guys love this guy.
Okay. I think we need to reconsider your spot on this show because you just looking at Uncle Sam and saying that Tom Brady isn't the GOAT and giving
He's
him
exactly right.
all the justification in the world that I fought for eons on here.
Statistically, him and Belichick are both
He's
the
the
GOATs.
best.
Statistically, you cannot beat what they did.
Exactly.
But could they do it elsewhere? And Andy Reid, I mean, I know he didn't win the Super Bowl in Philly and he lost to Belichick, but Andy Reid has gone and done it elsewhere, with different pieces.
This is it. I'm going to say this right now as it stands.
He's got a TB12 shirt on, by the way.
Nobody cares.
Right now as it stands, Andy Reid is the best coach in football.
Yeah.
I agree.
I'm not going to argue
That's
that.
fair.
Belichick,
I'm not gonna argue that.
probably the best
He's two.
coach of all time.
He's two.
No, he is the best coach statistically of all time.
Brady wouldn't have been as successful as he was without Belichick, and Belichick wouldn't have been successful as he was without Brady.
Agreed.
But Tom Brady is still the GOAT.
He's not the
And
He's the most
Belichick
winningest.
hasn't won a Super Bowl since Tom left, but Tom
won one.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever, dude.
I mean, Brady.
Whatever.
or
Whatever.
Dodgers.
We were lucky to have Tom Brady.
Listen to
I'll
me.
be the first one to
Listen
tell
me.
you.
If the scumbag Pete Carroll hadn't thrown a pass at the fucking 2-yard line,
It was Daryl Bevel.
we
Blame
wouldn't even
Darryl
be
Bevel.
talking about this right now. And if Atlanta and Dan Quinn, the biggest collapse in Super Bowl history,
We're not going.
Okay.
We're not going here.
Hold on. Totally fair. You could still take away those 2 Super Bowls that they backed into, and he's still the best coach of all time, and Brady's still
correct.
probably the.
He's still the most winningest quarterback of all time.
Yeah, I mean,
I will
you can take those
dispute
away.
that. Is he the greatest?
And they lost how
No.
many Super Bowls? 3, 4. They lost a few of them too.
defines the greatest quarterback.
Dan Marino.
That's the thing.
Dan Marino.
doesn't define the greatest quarterback.
He's the greatest
That's-
quarterback
that's
ever to play the game.
You're not
So,
defining.
speaking of Tom Brady in Tampa Bay,
Perfection was Joe Montana. Perfection. Perfection.
are you done?
No. Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
Go ahead.
We need to talk about some serious throwback jerseys that are coming back this year. Tampa Bay announced yesterday that actually when they play us, right, the Lions, they will be wearing their Creamsicle jerseys, which in my opinion is I think it's my favorite throwback jersey out of all of them. I love the Steelers Bumblebee situation. I know you
What, the
fucking
stripe
hate
one?
that. The stripe.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
That's awesome.
That's stupid.
I love the Creamsicle thing. I think that's the coolest jersey.
I don't like creamsicles as much as I like cream pies.
Emrico cream pie. Emrico.
I like the older. I like the Houston Oiler throwbacks. I think the Titans should go with that more. I don't like the Titan name. Period. I think it's stupid. They rename that.
What? Just go back to the Oilers.
Let's real quick, Uncle Sam. You and I, let's do this because you have a lot of history with Jersey talk and all that. Let's I want to hear your 5 and there's going to be historical context too. So I want to hear your 5 best jerseys all time and your 5 least favorite jerseys all time. And we could do just this year. We could do
fine.
we could do current jerseys. Who do you think has the 5 best and who do you think is the 5 worst?
Best jersey.
I think there's a jersey in pro football, and I want to see if you agree with me. I think there's a jersey in pro football that is by far the best jersey in sports. So let me hear your 5 shit jerseys first.
My 5 shit jerseys.
Yeah.
Period.
Currently.
Current jerseys.
And
I
it doesn't
don't like
have
the
to be-
Titans.
Okay. I'm with you.
They're one of them.
They're in the
I don't like
category.
it. I don't like the Cardinals. I don't like their jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
They've had some jerseys that were kind of cool, but
And these are two
not a fan
recent.
of it.
These are two teams to recently update their jerseys. By the way,
Correct.
so
Not a fan of
There's
it.
historical context of their jerseys being shitty, meaning that they're in the last couple of years. So
Yeah, I'm not a fan of theirs. The Chargers. I
you don't
think
like the Chargers?
I don't.
That legendary
listen.
powder blue.
I like the powder blue, but I don't like where they're going with it. I don't like the Rams. I don't like where they're going with their shit. Either they were going to go the gold and this, the white. The original Rams jerseys were blue and white.
It seems like they always mix in the wrong helmet with the jerseys too, because they got the blue and white helmet and they got the yellow and blue helmet, and they always like mix and match poorly. I don't like the blue and white. I prefer the blue and yellow, but I want it to be that dark blue and that piss yellow that reminds me of The Greatest Show on Turf, the Kurt Warner ones.
Well, it was more gold than yellow.
No, the year they lost, it was more gold than yellow. The year they won, it was more yellow. It was more blue and yellow. So I feel you a little bit on the Rams. I want to hear. All right, give me 3 of your favorites now, and I made a list for this. That's how excited I was for Jersey Talk.
I really like the Bengals. I like the Bengals whiteout outfits. I think they're awesome.
Fair.
I think their jerseys, when they rebranded their stuff, I really liked it.
They've done good. They got the tiger print on the armband. Yeah,
it's really cool. I like it. I like the Baltimore Ravens. I've always liked their uniforms.
They're in my top 10. You haven't named the team that I'm hoping you're gonna name. It's my favorite jersey in sports. I think it's my favorite jersey.
Really?
Yeah, I'll get there.
Not the Lions, is it?
No, but I do like the Lions jersey.
I like their stuff too. Mm-hmm. I like it better now than in the past. I don't like the black with the Lions stuff. The black outline, that was stupid.
It sounds like they're going away from the black.
That was Mariucci brought that shit in here. I don't like it because San Francisco was doing that years ago.
Give me one more team's jersey.
I love the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, they're in my top 3.
I love the Miami Dolphins. I've always liked their rebrand was excellent. I like it. I don't like the Buffalo Bills. I don't like the way they've rebranded. Mm-hmm. Stupid. None of it makes sense. Go back to the old school and leave it that way.
Real quick, can I give my top 3 and bottom 3 before you go here?
Yeah.
My bottom 3, I don't like the Texans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uncle Sam's like the Cardinals.
And I know this one's not going to be popular, but I don't like the Chiefs. I know that's not popular. I don't like the Chiefs. It's too much red. I think they should integrate more gold. My top 3, I have an honorable mention and top 3. My honorable mention is Seattle because I love how just fucked up Seattle comes out with like the lime green shit. And honestly, I don't mind Jacksonville either. But my top 3 are as follows in this order. Number 3, I think New England, when they redid it and they made subtle changes to it, I loved the way the New Jersey looks with the little red stripes on here. Number 2 is Miami. I think Miami has one of the most iconic jerseys in football. It's extremely Miami. It's not over the top. It's not overdone. And it's just a legendary uniform. And they didn't deviate from the logo all that much. They just modernized it a little bit. Number 1 for me is the Raiders.
The number 1 jersey in sports for me is the Oakland Raiders black jersey. Number 1 jersey in sports is the black jersey with the silver numbers. With the silver pants.
I think Oakland has the best jersey.
It's the best jersey in sports, in my opinion. I can't think of a better. I mean, you could maybe like in the ballpark is Yankees pinstripes. In the ballpark might be the Blackhawks or the Wings or one of the NHL ones. In the ballpark, you might have the Laker jersey. There's no better jersey in sports than the Raiders classic black with the silver numbers.
I agree.
It's the best.
I agree.
You want to talk about intimidation factor that a jersey has coming along with it? Because let's be real, I feel like there's not too many like.
Well, you got to understand something too. At that time when they came over from the AFL, because that's what they were, and John Madden was the head coach. When they came over, the guys that were on that team, that's what they were known for. These guys were Raiders. They were Ted Hendricks and John Matuzak.
I didn't know the historical context.
Were maniacs.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And thus the black.
They
hole
brought
was
that,
born.
and it was Al. It started with Al Davis. Al Davis was the coolest guy. Al Davis looked like a mob dude on the sidelines with a track outfit on. Nobody did that. Everybody else had suits on. This fucking guy showed up with a Rolex and fucking track outfit on with tennis shoes. Mm-hmm. And that was his motto. Just win, baby. Whatever it took, just win.
I know you guys both like the Ravens. I think the Ravens shit's overrated. I'd go all purple. Fuck it. purple.
They have an all purple look.
The all purple look
Yes,
is
they
killer.
And then the counter to that, and I love the concept of everything the Vikings do. They play "Let's Go Crazy" by Prince when they score touchdowns. I think their fan base is great. Their purple sucks.
It does. They have a
Their
shitty
purples
purple.
doesn't look. It just doesn't look good with the
shitty
yellow.
purple.
And those are two great colors.
Agree. Another one that
I actually like how Baltimore's incorporated the gold into their purple and black.
Yeah. I think another one, the Lions all gray, is fucking awesome. The all gray
All
with
gray.
the blue number is fucking awesome.
There's one
my
I like
favorite-
more than that. So disagree. I don't like the all white.
I
but
don't
when they wear the all blue, when they do, which they
All
never
blue is
did,
cool.
when they do the blue home with the blue pants, oh my god, their gray's cool.
I
Their
like
gray's
the-
cool.
My
the gray is
favorite
my favorite.
Lions uniform is the throwbacks from the 50s.
And that's up there.
Nothing on the helmet, just a solid helmet with a blue jersey with the gray number with the silver numbers
They wear those
and
in
the gray pants and the blue socks. That was my favorite Lions uniform.
It's up there. It's one of the better jerseys in football when they wear it. Have you seen the potential redesign Lions
I have
jersey?
not.
So they're talking about going back to similar to the Barry Sanders era, the 80s and 90s. They're
the
going to
white
do
letters,
it's going to be
white
next
numbers.
year, and it's supposedly they're getting new helmets this year too. I don't know if they're going to be blue. I don't know if they're going to be black. Whatever.
I don't want to see a black helmet. I just don't.
It wouldn't fit. It'll probably be blue. It'll
I
probably be-
don't want it black. If they go with the black thing, all I think about is Mariucci and that's how stupid it was.
If the rumors are true, they're shying away from black in the color scheme. So
Good,
lucky you.
good.
They're talking about going with the white numbers outlined in silver, similar to the 90s, but
Correct.
cleaning it up and making it
with the
less
Honolulu
busy.
blue.
Honolulu
Okay.
blue, of course.
I don't
And
have
then-
a problem with that. I like his thing. I like the gray uniforms.
Mhm.
I really do. I think those are awesome.
They're great. They're
Yeah.
really nice.
I really
And
like
the all
that.
gray look is good. And they've done gray with they've done the all whites before.
The reason why I like
They've
the
done the
gray
gray
is
with the
it
blue
fits in their
pants.
uniform
Yeah.
really well.
They got some good combinations, the
Yes, they do.
Lions.
Bruce, what is your favorite?
Probably the Patriots throwback red, the Bulldog.
Oh, Pat the Patriot.
Yeah,
That's
Pat the
another
Patriot.
great one.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites.
The
of all
original ones, back when the Patriots had played the Chicago Bears in '85 in the Super Bowl, that was my favorite uniform.
time. Yeah, because it's fucking
And
awesome.
that was, to me, was the coolest uniform they had. With the white helmet, I just, the red jerseys and the white pants, that to me, the perfect Patriot uniform.
I think one, you know how the Chargers, the powder blue from the Chargers is one of the greatest of all time. And they did that darker blue. They went to like that navy-ish,
That was in
royalish
the
thing.
in the early '90s. They had done that for a while.
Well, they
went
did it
like
again.
a navy.
They
real
did it
dark.
again, and I hate
I don't
that.
like that either.
The Chargers should stick with the powder blue all the way.
The Jets, I don't like what the Jets have done.
Jets,
They've
New Jerseys are
incorporated the
bad.
black into the.
Yeah.
I hate it.
I
think
agree
it's
with
awful.
you on that.
I
I'm
don't
really
like
not a huge fan of the Giants. I love I like
I
Carolina.
like the Giant. The reason why I like the Giant uniforms, and I'll say this, because they went old school. That's old school Giant uniform with the red shirt and this. It just looks different. That's old school.
There's two teams you guys haven't mentioned that are on my top 10 list.
Go.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Go down
The-
your top 10
The
list.
Steelers and the 49ers. I'll go through my list. It's kind of in order. It's hard to I have to really sit and evaluate all the color schemes and go through the palette and really appreciate it. But number one's the Raiders.
Right.
Number two's the Dolphins. I love their teal is so subtle now. It's
Well,
great.
we match on our top two. Nice.
Yeah. Number three for me is the Chargers what they're currently doing, not with the Navy. So they're white with the light yellow and the powder blue, which is what they're
So
currently
cool.
doing. The Navy isn't great. Number four for me is the Steelers. You're gonna disagree with my number five. I think the Chiefs are iconic. I think all of the old AFC teams, all the original,
All the old AFC teams,
have
the
iconic
Jets,
jerseys.
the Chiefs, the Raiders, their uniforms are like he said, iconic. Now I'll tell you what, I love the Bengals' new uniforms. Listen, I was there when you seen the Bengal uniform with the black thing and the helmet was orange and it said Bengal on it. It was awful, awful. When they changed it over to the tiger stripe, totally changed the whole image of that team. And the Cleveland Browns. I still like the Cleveland Browns. I don't like that they've turned it into red. It's a little too red.
They announced a new
They're
Dog
orange.
Pound logo yesterday. By
Huh?
the way. They announced a new Dog Pound logo. Yeah, literally yesterday.
Listen, they should have put the Dog Pound logo on their helmet decades ago.
They'll probably do it.
I don't know why they never did.
It has more references in it and more historical context embedded within the logo than a $100 bill does.
Well, what they were trying to do was put the elf. The so-called elf is like the big thing in Cleveland, which I think is stupid. He looks like the Keebler elf.
Yeah, which is why that town sucks.
Stay away from it. Put the Dog Pound logo on it and leave it alone. Because I'll tell you what, if you've ever been to Cleveland and you've seen a football game,
I've made a mistake doing that.
you've been there, no?
Yeah, I made the mistake.
Is there anything fucking...
Elf.
There's one place I always wanted to go see a game, and I never got to go see it. Oakland. Always wanted to go to see a game at Oakland and to see what everybody was talking about. That people used to get beat up in the parking lot on their way home. I've always wanted to see that.
And it was like that
and
until
never
they
got a
moved.
chance.
It was like that
The
until
black
they
hole.
The black
I
hole.
always wanted to go to the black hole. Never got a chance. Did see the Dog Pound. It was amazing how their fans get into football. I wish that shit would happen here.
Hey, that new Dog Pound logo is that's awesome. Look at that. That is fucking awesome. That's
If they go with it.
they did.
they do.
That's the new one. That's
what they're going
That's it. Yeah. But they still have the fucking elf as their mascot, which sucks. Fuck that elf. Anyways.
Only
You only made it. You only made it through 4.
Yeah,
Keep
it
going.
Turned into Uncle
Keep it
Sam's
going.
list there.
After the Chiefs, I have the 49ers. I think the 49ers
49ers
jerseys,
are iconic.
I think it's iconic as well. It's probably the most iconic in the NFC. After the Niners, I think the Lions have great jerseys. I think that this current crop of jerseys are excellent.
I
and
can't
think,
disagree with that.
I think they're going to get better too. The Packers, I like it when it's more simple than not. But when it's just the green with the yellow pants and the iconic stripe down the pants, I think it's
the
pretty
Packer
Green is
throwback
intimidating for sure.
with the what was awful.
toilet
I just
paper.
hope they don't go to that. Awful.
The Ravens at 9, I think any color scheme they do, they could do purple with black pants. They could do black with black pants. They could do black with purple pants. Anything they do works. And I love all their jerseys. Black, white, purple. I think they do great every time. And then after the Ravens, I have one that also wasn't mentioned. And it's simple. They have really simple jerseys, but they do a good job with the two colors. It's the Colts. I love what the Colts do with their blue and white. It's never over the top. It reminds me of the Peyton Manning era Colts, and I have them kind of up there as well. They never get carried away, the Colts. And they have good combinations. They do a good blue on blue. Their blue on white's iconic. They have a good throwback with multiple stripes on the shoulder. The Colts are up there for me. And a lot of the jerseys you guys name that you like, I think are fucking ugly. This is hard to explain. This is so hard to explain. I love the Seahawks colors. I don't like how they utilize them. I do not. I think the Seahawks always have one. Like the current crop of Seahawks jerseys are not great compared to their Super Bowl winning jerseys.
Yeah, I love the lime green. Like they just.
They just.
I
don't
like
use it
I
right,
like
though.
the old 80s version of the Seahawks.
The dark blue
the
with the
Jim
silver.
Zorn. Yes.
Yeah.
That to me off the silver was really nice.
The
Very close to
Commanders-
the Lions uniforms though. But I still like that uniform better than the bright green bullshit that's on.
I like the
there now.
bright
The
green.
Commanders jerseys suck, and then
I
including I think the Redskins jersey.
Why
also
I
suck.
don't think the Commanders
all
jersey
blow.
is
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
Everything sucks about Washington.
Okay.
The
all-
Jags, same drill. Love their color scheme. Don't like how they
I like
utilize it.
Jacksonville. It's
I just
so
don't
ugly.
think
I don't
they
like it
utilize it properly. Is all. The Texans are ugly. We were unanimous there. I think the Panthers are kind of ugly. They're just too busy. Like if they use those colors,
They haven't really done with it. I mean,
No.
that's what it was when they came in.
if they use those colors, but like make a simple jersey that isn't too busy, I would be into that. Again, the Vikings are on my list. Love purple. They don't use it properly.
Ugly.
The Browns, I think, are kind of they just redesign everything, and sometimes Browns jerseys could be cool, but same drill. Like your name is the Browns, just make your shit brown. Make it brown with a yellow or an orange number. Call it a day. I think the current crop of Patriots jerseys sucks.
I like
But I like
the orange was
old
just
Brady,
an accent in Cleveland.
the
at one
old
time.
Brady dark blue with the silver. That I like. I think that was one of the better jerseys because I associate it with that era where they were good. Brady barely played in these new Patriots jerseys, and therefore I don't really associate him with him. The Cardinals suck.
Cardinals.
Jets have been good in the past. I think when it's just green and white, it's great. The Jets currently suck. They're another team that's not good at using. They're not good at using the black. Honorable mention, I think the Giants and Eagles have crappy jerseys. The Cowboys, their whites are great. Their blues
I
are
like
bad.
the
Blues
Eagles
are awful.
throwback.
Blues are awful.
The Cowboys blues might be one of the worst ones there are. The whites, awesome. The blues fucking suck.
The white is the original. That's the original cowboy deal with the white helmets.
The white helmet.
Yeah.
And I like that concept that we're so lucky to be graced with their presence that they're allowed to wear white all the time, and the Saints do it too. The Saints wear white at home as well. I like when teams do that. I wish the Red Wings would do that, actually.
I like the Raiders all whites.
Raiders all whites are great with
There's
silver,
nothing
with
better
silver
than that.
number.
Their
With
color
silver
rush.
number. Yeah.
Remember their color rush?
It was all white.
Uniforms?
And then they
They
have
were awesome.
all black color rush. That's like, talk about black
The
hole.
Rams, their color rush was yellow. You remember those? Those were awful.
I fucking
Was
awful.
into that.
awful. No, the Raiders white with the silver is awesome, and the Raiders all black. I mean, that's the best there is in my opinion.
I'd like to
can't
see a
disagree.
Raiders all black pants, black shirt, black everything.
Just with
I would like to see that.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I think some of these teams need to change the colors of their helmets a little bit, kind of break shit up. You know, I mean, Buffalo always had a white helmet. I don't know why they wear those stupid red ones. Those are awful.
We didn't talk about the Bears or the Broncos.
Well, the Bears haven't changed their uniform. I don't think they've ever changed.
No, I actually like that blue and white at home, that Monsters of the Midway scheme.
Yeah.
I'm into that. That's about the only thing that I'm into, though. I don't like their white jersey. I think their orange jersey sucks.
I think the Chicago Bears had an old logo that actually had a Bears hat on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would look better on their uniforms than the C. That's my opinion. Just like the Lions. I think the Lions should take the 57 logo with the gray and the gray and blue stripe with the lion, the classic lion, you know.
the Portsmouth
and put
Lions
that all
logo.
back on their uniform, on the helmet, on the uniform, and leave it at that. Stop fucking tinkering. Nothing says William Clay Ford like that 57 logo. Leave it.
What about the Broncos with the orange with the blue aprons? They've always done a good job with third jerseys, like going back to John Elway. They got the orange with the blue straps going down, and then they have the blue with the orange straps going down. The orange
Correct.
collar.
I love the Broncos.
Yeah, I thought
I
that
love
they've always been there.
I
But
love
here's
their
the,
logo.
here's the thing. The
Borderline
Broncos
iconic.
were known as Orange Crush. Their shit needs to be orange. That jersey needs to be orange. If you're home or whatever, that needs to be orange. And that was their nickname forever. In the 80s and stuff. But they got away from that and they went with the blue. When Elway got there, they had changed the uniforms, I think in the 90s, just before they won their Super Bowls.
I like everything about
And they
jersey.
changed them to blue. I like the orange
I do too.
better.
I do
That was my opinion.
Anything else to add?
No.
Anything else to add? I
Bruce?
think that was a great week.
Bruce, you got anything to add?
Well, a little bit of gaming news.
Oh yeah, so I actually forgot we were doing this today. So if you recall, we used to do a little something called tipped gaming.
Never heard of it.
Okay, well, Bruce dug deep and found a passion for video games and is starting up tipped gaming
Since I was like 5.
all over again. All over again. Tipped gaming is coming back, so this is an official announcement. And Bruce had a little bit of tipped gaming news that he wanted to share with us before we ended today's show. So without further ado, it is the Tugboat.
You guys all know the game Call of Duty, correct?
Do you
Sorry?
know Call of Duty? Do you know what Call of Duty is?
Yes.
All right, well, there's a bunch of streamers that are all friends, and one big-time streamer over the weekend happened to see something politically happening in the world and tweet something about it. It was nothing, I'm not going to comment on it, but then the game took down his skin that he made for the game that you could purchase in the game and wear.
Okay.
So now all these main-time streamers are leaving the game and uninstalling it because of what happened to Nick Merckx. So that's a little bit of news.
And you were involved in this?
Was I involved?
Yeah.
No.
Well, you just said you were involved in
I
it.
said
What the
all
fuck?
of his friends that he was involved.
Okay.
He's sharing with us some video game news.
Yeah.
Well, what the fuck? Hey, what kind of news is it?
It's big
What-
news
what
for the
what
video
exactly
game
For the
was
world.
it?
video game people, man.
Okay, then why did they pull it down?
A bunch of the streamers left because they pulled a bunch of content that the one guy created to go on Call of Duty, which was a skin, because of some comments he made online. So now there's a revolt
what did he say?
amongst all of the streamers.
Can you repeat
we're
what he
not
said,
going
or
there
repeat
yet.
what it was?
We're not
You
going
can
there.
look it
I'm
up.
just asking a question.
It's still
What-
on
what the
Twitter. He's
fuck?
not taking it down. He had comments on the post already.
Okay.
So it's still there if you want to go.
So
check
what?
it out.
All you guys just get together, you smoke up,
I'm not friends with
get
these people.
blown out of your mind, and play fucking video games for 8 hours? What do you do?
What do you? We play video games, but I'm not friends with these people.
Oh, then what do we care? We're not friends with them.
Are you friends with Dalvin Cook?
No,
We're still talking about him.
I don't fucking like him either. Maybe he
anyways,
should
You
smoke
love
some
him.
dope.
What are you talking
Maybe he
about?
should smoke some dope and play video games with Brew.
He probably
Thank you
does.
so much for listening to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. Make sure to follow our socials, Instagram and Twitter at Tip Balls, TikTok at Tip Balls Podcast. If you are watching us on YouTube, remember to subscribe and ring the bell to get notifications on when we go live. And if you're listening to us, thank you for listening on Spotify and Apple Music. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great weekend. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, and you will hear from us again next week.